Great day, high frequencies, everybody. I want to tap in because I haven't been in here lately with my dreams and kind of share with you, oh God, what's been going on. I know even though I haven't tapped in, I still have been having these dreams. The last 2 nights, I have been lucid. I was lucid last night and I was lucid the night before as well. Not the entire dream, but parts of the dream. And I'll talk about when I came into being lucid in those dreams. Before I go into last night's dreams, I want to go into the dream the night before. All right, so the night before, it felt like I was on a different planet. It didn't feel like it was Earth at all. I think it may have been me in a car with this man, not quite sure, but we pulled up to this building. It was this huge building, almost like some type of castle or whatever. Um, but he was there, and he was a black man, and he was there to actually retrieve this device that this white man had, and that controlled time. It was a time looping device. The black man had actually found out he had it where he was, and he was there to get it. Wherever we were, he didn't need any type of like weapons or anything. Like all the power was within. And so he got out the car to go into the building. And he was dressed in some type of all black militant attire, is the best I can describe it. And he got out the car and he, was coming in full force, like he was ready to do his job. And the first thing there was a trap set up in this building before he got to the man with the device. And the trap that was set up had these floating screens, like digital screens, that was one in the front and then one behind, and they would float around his head. So he ended up, not being distracted by that, broke those. Once he broke those, he was headed towards this door. And this door had like this glass window on it where you could see inside, and the guy with the device was inside, but you also could see outside. So the man with the device could see him outside. Now, in the dream, it felt as if I was seeing from a third eye perspective, that I wasn't I could see what he was doing, breaking the screens around him, and I also was able to go inside the room where the man with the device had, so I could see what was going on both ends. I couldn't intervene though. And so the man, it was white man, he had a black cloak, like a hood, long black cloak. And the device that he had was really thin. It was almost like the screen, and that was it. But it wasn't like he was pressing any buttons on it or anything. It was fully projected. It was fully used by the projection of thought. It was one thing that I noticed. And so the black man that was on the other side getting ready to come in, I was projecting to him mentally and trying to tell him, don't come in, just retrieve the device through your mind. Like, you can retrieve the device and you can take the device just by thinking about it. You can use your mind to move the device at your will. He was so into getting through the door and getting the man because he wanted to fight him and all that kind of stuff. He's really thinking about like the mission and just retrieving the device physically, that as soon as he came through the door, the man with the other man with the cloak, the white man with the cloak, and the time looping device was able to loop him back around where he was coming back through the door, going through those digital screens around him, and then coming back in. So he continued to was being looped. I think the second time or third time that he was being looped, I was really trying to let him know, you've been through this before. Don't do this. Don't come through the door. Retrieve the device with your mind. And he just would not listen. And so then I woke up. That was the dream last night, but the night before last. So that was the dream Friday night going into Saturday. Not quite sure what all that means. Hadn't really sat down to decipher the time loop, the device. One being a black man, the other one being a white man. Not really sure what that meant, but yeah, that was the other night. And so then I go into last night. Now, last night's stream was a bit different as well. Again, if you're someone that can decipher dreams, or if this means anything to you, or you want to discuss it, let me know. So last night, I was with a group of people, and for some reason, we had left our homes to do something. And the sky had changed to like a pinkish hue. It was like a pinkish color. And we knew that something was about to happen. It was like we were on the highway running. We weren't in cars for whatever reason, I don't know. And nobody was on the street, but we were on the highway running back to our house. It was like, we got to get back home. We got to get back home. Like, we knew something was about to happen on the planet and it wasn't right. And so we were running, going back home. And we saw these two like light bright white shooting stars in pairs. They fell down way back where our houses were. And we knew that was a sign that the sky was about to open up. And so we was like, oh my God, like, okay, we can't go that way. So we turned around and went back the other way. So when we turned around and went back the other way, we saw another pair of shooting stars fall down. And we was like, okay, that's happening back there too. So we can't go back that way. Okay, so we can't go back that way either. So it's like, okay, what should we do? And then we just saw shooting stars just in pairs just continue to fall down even where we were. So he's like, okay, everything is about to open up. This is a dream. So somehow we were back at one of the guys' homes. We all just stayed together and we was at his home. And I told him to get a drill and get some rope and we need to go to the basement. So he gets a box cutter for some reason. And he and I were walking down the stairs going to his basement. I was like, okay. I was like, why do you have a box cutter in your hand? And he turned around and he cut me like right here under my eye. I was like, okay. Of course, this is a dream, so I don't feel any pain or anything, but he cut me. And then he turned around and cut himself. And when he cut himself, the same way he cut me, but he cut himself, it was the eye of Horus. It ended up being the eye of Horus right here on his eye. And I was like, okay. That was different. But it was like right after he cut himself and that turned into the eye of Horus, I was walking down the stairs with the woman. And that's when I became lucid. It was like after I saw the eye of Horus on him, the lady appeared, and then I became lucid. Once I became lucid in the dream, like I was looking at her and then I became aware that I was lucid. It was like, okay, now you can start being intentional about what's going on now. Now you can be intentional about the questions that you ask and what is going on. So I looked at her and she looked at me and it was kind of like I knew that I was lucid. And I looked at her and she looked at me and it was like she knew that I was, I wasn't asleep anymore, that I was lucid and I was in control. And so I asked her and she had the energy. I felt as if she had the energy of all-knowing, like God, like a God, like an all-knowing type of energy. Like she knew. She was very peaceful. And so I looked at her and I asked her, I said, is this real? Is this real? And then she looked back at me and then she said, no. And then I looked at her again and I was like, let me ask her a more direct question. I said, is this going to happen? And then when I asked her, is this going to happen? The dream shifted where she wasn't there anymore. And I was just standing there looking at the window and some other things started to occur. And then I woke up. So that was the dream last night. That I don't know if you want to call it the apocalypse or the event or whatever. I don't know what it was with the shooting stars, the sky being pink, us running, him cutting under my eye, and then cutting under his eye, and then it turned into an eye of Horus, and then becoming lucid and asking those questions. But I always like to share my dreams, of course, because you never know after someone watches it, or even I'll go back and watch it myself, how you can end up deciphering it and receiving information and messages to help us move in this realm. So high frequencies, everybody. Enjoy your Sunday.